So was there a football game on yesterday? Because all I thought I was watching was Entertainment Tonight with some football highlights mixed in between. Good morning. Happy Monday. Welcome in. It's great to be here on KCMO Talk Radio. Oh, my goodness. Have you ever watched a football game where the football game feels like it's not actually the story? I mean, you know, it helped that the Chiefs had this game over in the second quarter when it was 34-0 at halftime. But still, you're sitting there, you're watching this football game. Maybe you're doing what I do, scrolling through social media, and no one's actually talking about, hey, look at that pass from Mahomes. How about that catch by Sky Moore? No one's doing that, John. It's all about Taylor Swift.
Let's play. Hey, welcome to Arrowhead, and let's play Who's in the Box?
Yeah.
With Donna Kelsey.
Oh, my goodness. You know, John was on it yesterday. I flipped on the game like right at 3:25 because I was watching the end of that Ravens-Colts game that was on CBS that went to overtime. And then at 3:25 on the dot, I flipped my TV to the Chiefs, and John had texted Mark and I probably 20 seconds earlier, and my phone started blowing up like 30 seconds before the game, before I flipped to the game, about Taylor Swift. You know, I got Ray Stevens, our new mid-guy guy, texting me. John's texting me. I got a half a dozen other texts. I'm like, oh, my goodness, she's there.
It's news when Anthony gets out his phone.
Yeah.
My wife was getting mad at me. I was driving home from Iowa, and she's like, stop looking at your phone. I'm like, sorry. We're almost home. I want to see Taylor Swift on the TV.
Yeah, I guarantee you did. I'm sure your girls did, too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. They were interested in it.
Yeah, even Claire. I mean, she's 4, but she knows Taylor Swift. And she was like, where's Taylor Swift? I was like, hey, easy does it. This is a football game, all right? We're here to watch football. If they show Taylor Swift, that's a privilege. I will tell you what, though. It's just this kind of cultural phenomenon is something that I could not have predicted, where you've got Travis Kelce, of course, guy's doing as many commercials as Mahomes these days, it seems, becoming one of the biggest stars in the NFL. Now, clearly, at the very least, he's friends with Taylor Swift, and Kansas City is the center of the NFL universe, not just because they've got the reigning Super Bowl champs, but because the biggest pop star, biggest music star on the planet is here to watch her friend, I don't want to say boyfriend just yet, but friend Travis play in the game. And by the way, he scored a touchdown. You can't write the script. I mean, it's fun. It's exciting. Yeah, it's a little Hollywood, which is weird. You expect this stuff in L.A. and New York. You don't necessarily feel like you're going to expect it here in Kansas City, right, John?
No, exactly. I had that odd thing when I went to New York. I'm like, hey, that guy looks like De Niro. And I'm like, wait, this is New York. It is De Niro. Right? Yes. It's a little bigger deal here in town, but I'm just thinking with these script writers going off strike, I wonder what kind of a plot line we might have between sports superstar dating pop star.
Oh, yeah. It gives them some material.
All fictitious, of course.
Yes. It gives them something when they decide to go back to work and be adults, right?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Well, it was fun. Now my wife's like, I got to get that jacket Taylor had on yesterday.
That's what I wondered, part two. How many jackets did she sell, and how many Swifties are getting Kelsey jerseys today?
Yes.
Boom.
Yes.
A little brand management between the two, even if they are just buddies.
Yeah, Mark's got his Kelsey. I didn't see that. You got your Kelsey jersey on there, Mark?
Got the Kelsey jersey on, and then the defense played so well, I pulled out my hat from the 90s. So that was good.
Hey, man, I'll tell you what. I said, we all predicted the Chiefs to win on Friday. I said they'd give up 3 points. I said 24-3. I sold them short. But, man, this defense, it is so fun to watch. I mean, you get spoiled with the offense, right? But I love when you get a defense playing like this defense is playing. Don't you, John? Gosh, it just feels good.
Yeah, that's Chiefs football, the crowd noise and stuff like that back in the Schottenheimer era, and even in the Super Bowl.
Yes.
It reminds you of the good times. But I'm noting, too, I like Drew Tranquill. Didn't miss Nick Bolton, fortunately.
Yes. No, there is a lot to like about. I mean, Mahomes obviously has never had a top 5 defense, and here we are talking about it. It's early in the season, I know, but that was quite a scene at Arrowhead Stadium yesterday. Heck, the New York Post, I put this photo up on my Twitter and Facebook page. Last night, the New York Post, its lead story on its website was a picture of Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift in the box, and it said Chief Cheerleader. The New York Post lead story was Arrowhead Stadium yesterday.
Wow.
It's crazy. Yeah, you can see it on the Twitter and Facebook page if you want to. It has taken things to the next level for Kansas City in a pop culture way that many of us would never have expected.
I'm surprised because I thought, well, if she comes, it'll be on the down low. She'll be up there with the Hunts and way in the back where you can't see. No, right up front. And it was before the game. That's when I texted you. The game hadn't quite come on, and it shot up there. And I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
Exciting.
Yeah, exciting.
I thought, well, maybe that'll be it.
No. Joke's on you, John. That'll be it.
Absolutely.
Mark, did DraftKings pop up an over-under on Taylor Swift cameos on Fox yesterday?
No, but I would have taken the over. Whatever it was, I'm going over.
Well, yeah, I'm surprised Mark didn't. Mark's driving home from Iowa. His girls are at a soccer tournament. And I'm just picturing him on his DraftKings going, God, place the bet.
I'm like, come on, I'm in Missouri. I got to get to the border.
That's right. Yeah, you're going to, Mark would have turned around and drove his family back into Iowa where he could legally bet just to try to get the over on Taylor Swift appearances.
Maybe it will be a line because they're at New York Sunday night.
That's right. They are in
I wonder what she's up to.
MetLife Stadium. Playing the Jets.
In the Big Apple.
I'll tell you what, the cameos might even top this past game because the Jets look awful. Oh, my goodness. Whew. Now, Taylor Swift was not the only star, by the way, in Missouri this weekend. AOC came out. Yes, the coastal elites. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez came out to Missouri. She was in Wentzville at one of the striking UAW plants. AOC was there to show solidarity with the UAW workers who are looking to get a 40% pay raise while working one less day a week. It must be nice. So here's what AOC had to say on the stump. She was here with Corey Bush, one of the other squad members. Take a listen to AOC, Wentzville, Missouri, over the weekend.
A myth and an IOU for them to say one day when we are better, we'll make it right. Well, time to cash the check. Yeah.
Time to cash the check. You give us your 40% pay raise. You give us the 4-day work week. And if you don't do it, you're not cashing your check, says AOC in Wentzville, Missouri over the weekend.
A little more popular there than in her home district, right?
Yeah.
Where Nadler got shouted down.
Yes. She's more popular in Wentzville, Missouri than parts of Brooklyn, New York.
Move out of the time zone to get a receptive audience.
Yeah. I mean, what is this talk anyway? Saying in 2008, it was one myth. The companies were about to go under. If you and I, the taxpayer, forget the government, if you and I, the taxpayer, didn't bail out these companies, they may not exist today. Or they certainly may not exist as still one of the top automakers in the country without our help. This notion that 2008 was a myth, AOC and I are similar of age, so she should know better, but of course she probably doesn't. She lived through that. She was not a kid. She was a young adult, as was I. And if you lived through that, no matter where you were, no matter what your background is, nothing about 2008 was a myth. That was real pain. That was, on the verge of a serious financial crisis. It was a financial crisis. It could have been a lot worse. To say there was a myth, and now, well, we're sick of the IOUs. No, that's not how it works, AOC. And speaking of things not being how, many want them to be, there's a very basic understanding of the UAW situation as the strike continues on. And I'll share that with you coming up. Pete Mundo, 6:14. Not quite a Swiftie. I'm not going to put myself in that category just yet. But I'm happy to be here on a Monday. Welcome in on KCMO. What if I told you the biggest losers coming out of this UAW strike over the short term and, more importantly, the long term could be UAW workers themselves? That's what's going to happen here. Welcome in. Happy Monday morning. It's great to be here after a Chiefs victory on KCMO Talk Radio. 41-10 over the Bears, of course, and Taylor Swift in the house at Arrowhead, baby. Woo! So a lot going on here, but we're also staring at more UAW strikes. They expanded on Friday to 38 parts and distribution locations across 20 states, targeting General Motors and Stellantis. That is, of course, Chrysler's parent company. The union will not initiate additional strikes at Ford Motor Company because they have proven that they are serious about reaching a deal, according to UAW President Shawn Fain. So that means the Clay Como plant not likely to have any strike here, at least in the next few days. But if you're going to look at just a basic rundown of how this is all going to play out, let's say the unions don't concede, right? And then what happens? Car manufacturers' costs rise. After that, new cars are more expensive to produce. New car prices rise. Inflation reignites. You following me here? Domestic new car sales slow down. Dealers flock to used markets in search of cheaper inventory. Used car prices then rise due to overwhelming demand. Consumers can't absorb more price hikes. Dealers' margins end up compressing. Who are the losers? GM, Ford, Stellantis, and their respective dealers. Who are the winners? All the other car manufacturers and their respective dealers in a zero-sum game. The Kias, the Hondas, the Toyotas of the world. Who are the other losers? Consumers, those of us who will be eventually in the car market. And then, of course, the union workers, who then get laid off within 6 to 12 months due to new car sales declining. Geez, what if the losers in all this are the people right now who are trying to win? That's the part of the conversation, whether it's Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who was here in Missouri over the weekend. Thankfully, she was only the second most famous celebrity to grace the state over the weekend, courtesy of Taylor Swift. But what AOC and her ilk don't understand is that if the union continues to hold the companies hostage, and if they then have to factor in their increased labor costs to their vehicles, even though I understand some of you are going to point out that the cost of labor is about 5 to 7% of the car itself. Still, let's say it goes up another 1, 2, 3 percentage points, and their price point becomes even less competitive against other car dealers, other car makers. What's going to end up potentially happening? If the businesses don't do well, if the businesses don't succeed, if the businesses don't grow, you could be looking at layoffs if new car sales continue to decline. And right now is not a great time for car dealers in general. With high interest rates, a lot of people got their new vehicles in 2020 and 2021 when interest rates were at record lows. Cars are lasting longer than ever before. So it's not a great time to be a car dealer. I know a couple and, they can vouch for that. Then if you add this into the equation and you potentially have to factor in increasing costs on the vehicle to the consumer, right now, the average person, the middle-class family, is not going out there and can't shop for a new car unless they're saving for, months, if not years. Or they got to buy the car at a, 7, 8, 9% interest rate, which nobody wants to do right now. So it is ugly out there. And that part of the economic food chain in terms of how this can ultimately play out gets totally lost by AOC and Cori Bush when they come here to Wentzville and they basically say, give the workers their fair share. Is the fair share really 40% pay increases and 4-day work weeks? That's now fair share? So right now, the strike has shown no signs of slowing down. Shawn Fain said the union and Ford have made progress on issues including eliminating some wage tiers, reinstating cost of living adjustments, and an improved profit-sharing formula. He also said the union won the right to strike over plant closures during the term of the deal, as well as an immediate conversion of temporary or supplemental workers, those with at least 90 days of employment, upon ratification. He said, Ford said the company is working diligently with the UAW to reach a deal, but we still have significant gaps to close on key economic issues. Significant gaps, says Ford. That's not a good sign. Like, Ford did not get struck against in this latest deal on Friday because the union thinks they're closer to getting a deal done. But when you hear Ford say there are still major, in their words, major gaps to close on key economic issues, that tells me that they're further apart than maybe the UAW is willing to admit. And then what does that mean in turn? That means that, by the way, the dealers, all the innocent bystanders in all this, right? People who are in charge of getting parts to some of these UAW shops, dealers on the floors at Ford and GM and Stellantis, at some point, they're going to start feeling the repercussions of all this as well. They're going to start getting hurt because of this strike. And those are people as well who have families, who have livelihoods, who need to make money to, just try to pay the grocery bill in this crazy economy. All that matters. Yet apparently when you look at it, if you listen to the people in charge of the UAW, it's like, nope, it's all about us, not about any of you, not about anything else. It's just about us. And that's just not how it's supposed to be. It's not fair to the average worker who ultimately gets impacted by this. And those people don't get talked enough about right now. 913-408-7710 is how you join us on a Monday morning on KCMO Talk Radio 710 AM and 103.7 FM. Also stream us on the all-new KCMO Talk Radio app. I mean, do they deserve a raise? I don't know. I'm sure there's some good guys and gals working there that maybe deserve a raise, but I can't answer that question. Can you say with certainty that they deserve a raise when we talk about the UAW strike? Good morning. Welcome and happy Monday morning. By the way, the strike has extended to now 20 states and another 38 facilities. This happened on Friday, targeting GM and Stellantis. Ford has been spared thus far, so that means the Clay Como plant is not going to be impacted just yet. But, of course, we do know the GM Fairfax plant is getting impacted. It is shut down temporarily because they can't get the parts and supplies they need from the Wentzville, Missouri plant, which was one of the first to strike. So Josh Hawley chimed in here. This was to the New York Times. Yes, the New York Times wrote an opinion piece headlined, "What Republicans Say and Don't Say About the Auto Worker Strike." And here's the quote to Josh Hawley, or from Josh Hawley to the New York Times. He said here, "Auto workers deserve a raise. And they deserve to have their jobs protected from Joe Biden's stupid climate mandates that are destroying the U.S. auto industry and making China rich." Now, the last part of that comment is spot on. Totally agree with Josh Hawley there. And I love how bluntly it's put. Joe Biden's stupid climate mandates that are destroying the U.S. auto industry and making China rich. He's right about that, right? Go find out how those electric vehicle batteries are made and come back and talk to me. So, but when he says auto workers deserve a raise, I don't know. Maybe some do. I can't sit here with certainty and say they deserve a raise. I think the good ones probably do. It's not really up to me, though. And it shouldn't be up to politicians either on whether or not you or I deserve a raise. I don't want the government involved in my raises or your raises. I don't know about you, but I know there's like the whole populist theme now that is built into the Republican Party, which I accept in large part and to certain degrees. But to make a blanketed statement like, well, auto workers deserve a raise, if that's the case, I'd like to know why. And I also would like to know why we find ourselves in a place where we feel like our politicians need to defend our ability to get a raise. I don't really care whether or not my U.S. senators or my governors or my, House of Representative members think I'm worthy of a raise or not. In fact, I don't want them involved in any of that. I want them nowhere near my ability to get a raise. You know what I want my politicians doing? Trying to not take more of my money than they already do. And trying to not take more of your money than they already do. I don't need them in the negotiating business, though. when it comes to my raises or your raises or how to run my business, if I'm running Ford, if I'm running GM, if I'm running Stellantis, I don't want them telling me how much to pay people because you know what? The marketplace theoretically will figure all that out. That's how it's supposed to work. And I don't want these guys opining on any of this stuff.
You're right. You've seen the price of hammers at the Pentagon over the years.
Yeah, that's right. What were they paying? Like $92.68 a hammer?
I don't even remember now. It's such an urban legend, right?
Yeah,
It's so ingrained into our thoughts.
I forgot about that one. Oh, gosh. J.D. Vance of Ohio told the New York Times that he was rooting for the auto workers across the country, demanding higher wages and an end to political leadership's green war on their industry. So, you know, the populist string is trying to split the difference here and walk that fine line of calling out the administration for their really just bad economic policies that are forcing these automakers to go electric, whether they want to or not, and whether there's demand from the consumer or not, while also being like, yeah, go auto workers. Woo, all right. Yeah, if you're a great auto worker, of course I want you to get a raise. I just don't think you should be tied to the union because what does that do, by the way? I've always felt, and I say this as someone who's been in a union. I've been in the SAG-AFTRA, the other clown union that's striking right now. They protect the bottom feeders, but they cap the ceilings for those who actually achieve. That's what they do. They had their purpose 50, 60 years ago. That's long gone now. But this piece in the New York Times is funny. It's infuriating, but if I say it that way, then it'll just make me want to pull my hair out or whatever's left. It's infuriating because of the way it's framed. So, written here in the New York Times, it has been interesting to watch the response of Republicans to the UAW strike against the big three American car manufacturers. The most openly anti-worker view. I love how they frame that. I mean, this is like Communist Manifesto type stuff. The most anti-worker view comes from Tim Scott. Of course, the South Carolina U.S. Senator who condemned the striking workers and said, quote, I think Ronald Reagan gave us a great example. When federal employees decided they were going to go on strike, he said, you strike, you're fired. Scott said, simple concept to me, to the extent that we can use that once again. He also criticized the union's demands. Yeah, as we all should. Sorry, you're not living in the real world if you think 40% pay raises and then bumping down to 32-hour work weeks is something that helps any business on planet Earth. That it is comical that there are not more people calling out these insane demands of the UAW. And frankly, both sides of the aisle should be doing it, but they are so afraid because, the worker. No, how about just having some common sense and saying and calling this thing what it really is, which is an attempt at a shakedown. Even Mayor Pete Buttigieg, he was on CBS's Face the Nation over the weekend, Sweet Pete, the transportation secretary, and he was asked about the UAW going down to a 4-day work week, and he couldn't answer the question.
One of the other items that labor workers are asking for more controversially is a 4-day work week with 5 days of pay. Would the president support that? Does he think that's right?
Well, again, he supports them getting a record deal. He and the administration we're not at the table, right? We're not part of the negotiations. We're not doing the numbers. That's for the companies and the unions to do. But what the president is making clear is that he is leading an economy where people need to, as he says, where the economy needs to grow from the bottom up and the middle out, not the top down.
Okay, so he went to answer the question, and that was actually on Meet the Press, not CBS's Face the Nation. I get my crappy Sunday shows mixed up once in a while. So you heard him there, unable to answer the question. Well, if you stand with the workers, then shouldn't you stand with them on demanding 40-hour pay for 32-hour weeks? I mean, you can't say you stand with the workers when you're not answering the question as to whether or not you stand with their most ridiculous demand. Come on now, Sweet Pete. What is it, man? Answer the question. Does the administration stand with the demand to get paid 40 hours, by the way, get a 40% bump, and then bring it down to a 32-hour work week? Sounds like a great way, by the way, I will add to the conversation, a great way to make your business less profitable, which will result in ultimately layoffs, less people being hired, and potentially, who knows, a business that ends up going under, while Honda, Toyota, Tesla, and so many others don't have to deal with this kind of nonsense. And that's the part that never gets brought up enough. What is the end game for all of this, right? Unions don't concede, car manufacturers' costs rise, new cars get more expensive, prices go up, inflation reignites, car sales slow down, dealers flock to the used car market, used car prices rise, consumers can absorb more price hikes, dealers' margins compress. Who ends up losing here? GM, Ford, Stellantis, their dealers. Also losers in all this, consumers, and yes, potentially union workers who get laid off due to new car sales declining, specifically from their dealerships. But don't let that get in the way of the good story, you know? Just be like, I'm pro-worker, and just scream that at the rooftops and, hope it works for you politically. No, I'm for whatever makes sense for everybody. I want everyone to get a raise, but you don't get to hold an industry hostage with ridiculous demands. Those are like the demands of my 4-year-old, these demands. And until we start saying that, by the way, across the political spectrum, it's not going to get better. It's not going to change. Coming up, the good, the bad, and the ugly from the weekend. We'll get to that. And then our buddy Ken Coleman, Ramsey personality, top of the hour. Daniel Howes at 8:30. He is in Detroit. He's the Detroit News senior editor. We'll get the latest from him on the UAW. All coming up on KCMO. And apparently, you see this, Andy Reid's taking credit, by the way, for the budding romance between Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce after she showed up in the box next to Donna Kelce at the Chiefs-Bears game yesterday. Yeah, Andy in the post-game press conference. Here he is.
You know what? I've met her before. Adam, I set him up. I just leave you that.
Yeah, that's right. Andy set him up. He's taking all the credit for this budding romance across Kansas City. How about that? Oh, my goodness. Welcome in. Happy Monday. No one's having a happier Monday than Travis Kelce, I got to imagine. Catching a touchdown pass yesterday. Chiefs roll the Bears 41-10, and he's pulling out of Arrowhead with his top down and Taylor Swift in the passenger seat. Woo! Man, oh, man. And I saw some pictures floating around last night on social media. Literally, he was not looking to be incognito last night. He's driving around. Beautiful night last night. But he's driving around town with his top down on what looked like an old, old sports car of some kind. And it looked like they were up in River Market based on the signs in the background of random people who took these pictures. Kind of downtown was off to the left. You could kind of see the on-ramp there, just north side of the loop. It looked like the River Market area. So I got a few restaurants, since we used to live in that part of town, that I would have highly recommended Travis take Taylor to. But unfortunately, no one ever reached out. But I'm sure he's got a couple of good spots that he likes down there. Now, I find this interesting because you go back, 10 years now to when the Eagles got rid of Andy Reid. And I dug up this old parody song that went viral because at the time I was doing some work in the Philadelphia area. And Eagles fans put together this Taylor Swift parody song that basically mocked Andy Reid. And Taylor was their girl. You know, she was Pennsylvania. She was a noted Eagles fan. So they did this parody of a Taylor Swift song after Andy Reid essentially got the boot. And now it's all come full circle as the Chiefs beat the Eagles in the Super Bowl with Andy Reid as head coach, and now we've got their girl. So as always, Philadelphia is a bunch of losers. And I will play for you this just a little clip from this Eagles parody song that they put together 10 years ago now. And it's not quite Clay Chastain, but it's pretty good.
I take full responsibility. Time's yours.
I remember when you screwed up the first time. 14 years later is enough. Cause like you hadn't had a sack in a month. And you say you'll do a better job.
Better job.
What? Then you come out again and say, listen, I'm taking full responsibility. I've had it. Every week is Groundhog Day. I say I hate you and you say you'll fix it times yours.
Times yours.
Screwed it up again last night, but this time I'm telling you, we are never, ever, ever gonna win with Andy. We are never.
Yep, that's Eagles fans and their parody song from 10 years ago. Who looks like the idiots now? Philadelphia or Kansas City?
And they won with Andy's disciple there.
Yes, that's right, Doug Peterson. Did bring him a Super Bowl a few years back. Now, of course, Chiefs have won 2 since then, including beating them last season. But life always comes full circle, doesn't it? The same fans were mocking Andy with Taylor Swift songs, and now Andy's in Kansas City winning 2 Super Bowls with Patrick Mahomes, and Taylor Swift is now donning Chiefs gear, dating one of the star players, or at least friends, maybe friends with benefits, I don't know, but friends
Boom, boom, boom.
with one of the star players. And she's rocking a Chiefs windbreaker that now my wife is scouring the internet for, by the way.
How about that? And now they're in need of a new girl.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe Lizzo's not busy.
Yeah, what?
That seems like Philly to me.
It does. I mean, maybe they could take AOC or Corey Bush. I don't know. They were both in Missouri over the weekend with the UAW workers. Have them, please. They're all yours. Take them back in Philly and do something with them because we want no part of that. It's just, I've never seen anything like this where pop culture has completely taken over a regular season game. Like this is, typically you think about celebrities and they'll show up at Super Bowls and big games and people are like, oh, look at that. My father-in-law sent me a picture this morning of the New York Post, the front page of the New York Post. And above the fold on the New York Post cover this morning says, "Hail to the Chief." It says, "Taylor cheers on Travis Kelce amid dating rumors." And it's a picture of her cheering at Arrowhead yesterday. This is not a Kansas City story. This is a pop culture story. It is a worldwide story at this point. And it happened, 15 minutes down the road. And now we're trying to figure out where they were hanging out last night.
And she went to probably the worst regular season game at Arrowhead you could go to against the Bears. So that means something.
Yeah, that does. Well, in fairness, you got to just fit the schedule, right?
That's true.
I mean, I think her tour's still going on for a few weeks. That's why I didn't think we'd see her until after her tour had wrapped up. I figured it would have taken until maybe, November, December to get her out here. Maybe that Bills game in early December. Here she is.
She had like a month break, so she'll be back out like in October.
Oh, okay. So she had a little downtime here. All right. Well, now's your chance, Travis. If you're going to solidify this thing, my man, now's the time to do it. Make it serious. He's going to be 34 next month, so they're not kids, by the way. They're adults. Time to get it going. Yeah, Taylor Swift wasn't the only star in town. Not literally in town, but Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was in Missouri over the weekend. She was on the other side of the state, thank goodness, in Wentzville, where, of course, that was one of the first places to strike in this UAW madness. And in classic AOC fashion, she doesn't make any sense. And that's the nicest way to put it. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez comes out here with Corey Bush, who is, of course, a congresswoman on the east side of the state. And they're there to show solidarity with the workers, so they say. Here is AOC. Don't confuse this with Thomas Jefferson or anyone like that, as she eloquently explains the meaning and the purpose of the American flag.
We do not pledge allegiance to greed. We do not pledge allegiance to Wall Street. We do not pledge allegiance to corporate profit. We pledge allegiance to the United States of America, to our fellow man, to the benefit of all people. And that's what we are here today. So we put me on that flag, and I thank you. Thank you very much.
Now, if you struggled to hear AOC there, the best clip I could find at that moment.
Because it always sounds like a 12-year-old ranting.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true, too. Sounds like the, socialist from high school running for class president. She goes there, talking about the American flag. We do not pledge allegiance to greed. We do not pledge allegiance to Wall Street. We do not pledge allegiance to corporate profits. We pledge allegiance to the workers, to the United States of America. Woo! That was AOC over the weekend in Wentzville, Missouri. We don't pledge allegiance to greed. Has anyone looked at the AOC shop lately? The official AOC shop. You haven't seen that? I know that you're not going to the website, but just in case you were wondering, if you want to shop AOC's personal gear,
we can get a hoodie, can't we?
You can get a hoodie. Mm-hmm. You can get a Tax the Rich hat.
Yeah, like the dress that you wore there a year ago or so.
Yes, Tax the Rich hat is going to cost you $28.
Tax-free, of course.
Yeah. You can get a mug for $27 on her website. Let's go to the hoodies here. The AOC. Oh, a hoodie on AOC's website that says the Green New Deal. There's also a hoodie here that says social, economic, and racial justice. Those hoodies will cost you $65. The Tax the Rich sweatshirt is a bargain at $58. $58 for the Tax the Rich and the sweatshirt from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. We are not going to pledge allegiance to greed. Buy my sweatshirt for $65, you bum. These people are truly unbelievable. And their hypocrisy has no end. I don't pledge allegiance to Wall Street or corporate profits. You know who I pledge allegiance to? If you want to have that conversation, making sure that companies can be profitable enough to satisfy their workers, pay people a wage that is commensurate with their talent and their skill set on the open market. And then on top of that, hopefully grow to hire more people to create more jobs. Isn't that a great end game? Have such a good business where people are getting paid what they're worth, and then also you're getting more people into your business and paying them more money based on what they're worth, which creates more competition in the marketplace and allows you potentially as a worker for said company to make more money, even if it's not at that company, but it could be at another company. I'm losing breath, but you understand where I'm going here. It's not about pledging allegiance to Wall Street or, I love that, pledge allegiance to greed. What does that even mean? Greed from who? Can't you make the case the union's being greedy, asking for a 40% pay raise and 32-hour work weeks? I mean, who's greedy here? And by the way, the impact is also being felt in Kansas City and not just at the two plants that we talk about. Clay Como has had no issues yet because Ford, there are no Ford plants or locations that are being part of this latest strike. But we know that on the other side of the state line, the GM Fairfax plant has been shut down, 2,000 workers, because they rely on a lot of supplies from the Wentzville, Missouri plant that is part of the original strike. But this from Fox 4 here in town. Kansas City area companies are already feeling the ripple effect of the UAW strike. Challenge Manufacturing supplies the GM Fairfax plant with the floor pans for their Chevy Malibus. And the workers told Fox 4 late last week that dozens of them were temporarily laid off and there's no end in sight to them coming back. There are 600 people that work at that local Challenge facility. And right now, according to employees, they're going in stages. Each week progresses, they move to the next area, the next shift, and they start laying off more and more people. And these obviously are not people with any skin in the game when it comes to the UAW strike. They're just average working folks here in Kansas City who are trying to make money to pay their bills. And they're now being impacted by all this as innocent bystanders. That's why Sean Fain, the UAW president, is sorely mistaken if he believes the public opinions are going to be on his side, that the workers around the nation are going to be on his side. They're not. Public support is not going to be on the side of a guy who's also driving thousands of other people out of work around the country as he asks for a comical 40% pay raise. And also going back to a world of pensions, which are never coming back, and nor should they come back. They're bad business. Yes, provide health insurance for your employees if you can. If you're a bigger business, like a major corporation, yes, have a healthy 401k plan. All those things are fair and reasonable. But pensions? It's just dumb business. And they're never going to come back, and they shouldn't come back. And there are a lot of people that are getting impacted here that are not getting nearly the amount of attention of the UAW worker. Now, Travis Kelce, we'll get to this in the 9 o'clock hour, is catching a lot of heat, along with you at 913-408-7710.